Establish. Start again.
Okay, hold on, please.
Hi, I'm Johnny Young of Singapore Hobby Supply. Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. I'd like to share my journey with you in the hobby of flying aero modeling. I've been in this hobby for over 50 years. I've started this hobby in the mid-60s. And it's a long journey, but it's an interesting one. And if you'd like to know how I got into this, it's all from a customer who showed me a drawing of a transmitter. Now this was in the days when I was working in my parents' company, which is all the way in Changi Village, which were serving the British Air Force. My parent company basically deals with household products, hi-fi, electronic, household things. Of course, this is completely new to me, but I managed to get into it by getting in touch with the various manufacturers, especially in Japan, which some of the equipment that I'm dealing with today are still with me from the very start. And this is the beginning of where I started to import and brought in radio control equipment. Brands like Futaba, OS, K-Model, which is under the brand Pilot and EZ, even MK, and a lot of accessories, which today we are still handling it. It's not easy, but I did manage to make a transmitter. Okay, now back in the 60s, where radio control was early infant stage, where most of the equipment are not so advanced as today digitally controlled. So we have what we call a simple radio known as single channel. Now single channel means it's basically transmitting on a single signal. So triggering the receiver with a relay on and off. That's basically what it is. So this is the early days of the single channel radio, where basically it's only one button. So when you turn on, all right, when you press the button, it sends a signal out. When you release, there's no signal. So that signal will trigger the receiver with a relay that clicks on and off. Okay, this is how it sounds like. When you switch on, power, there's a meter. Now you don't hear anything. When you press, nothing happens. Now when you turn on the speaker, so basically when you press once, it continue on. That means it contact and cause the receiver to trigger a relay. Now when you press 1, 2, it contact and release and contact again. It gets a servo to move from one position to stop at the next position. And when you release, the servo goes back to neutral. That's how it works. Of course, going further to that, the purpose was basically to fly a model plane. I went into looking for a plane that I can use what I have built. I bought a kit from a toy shop, and this took me a while because those days no planes comes in ready to fly. So I need to build it up from scratch. So it was a good model that was basically for training by the name of Veron Robot. I've still got the plane today. The original designer has given me a plan that to me for keep as a remembrance of him. It took me quite a few months to get it done, but I finally got it done. But of course, at that period of time, to get hold of components, kits, and its accessories is not readily available in town. So over the years, in the mid-60s, I decided to look into supply of it. And that's where I've started the line. It's not an easy way of going around because most of the equipments and engines parts are not readily available in Singapore. It is not something that's regularly used or the hobby by Singaporeans. Basically, most of the hobby are done by the British Air Force people who are in Singapore. Talking about the hobby in the 60s, which we are flying in the Air Force Base in Changi. Now, the British are very active in this hobby. Aero modeling is an activity in the Air Force Base. And in Singapore, we are under the British. There are Air Force Base in Singapore, both in Changi and in Tengah. So what happened was, one of the magazine author by the name of Ron Moulton decided to fly out to know about such activities in the Far East. So he came over in Singapore and to realize that not only activities are available, supplies are also available. So he came and made a write out about the activities in Singapore. And this is what it's all about. Well, this is the magazine which is done in 1968 when he travels and write out about Far East aero modeling. The whole adventure and a lot of photographs are taken. Of course, it features where I am, the shops as well. Okay, so now, interestingly, I've lost touch about this matter until probably in the early 2000s when somebody sent me a photocopy of this page. And I said, wow, looking at it, it makes me remember those days. So I got somebody in touch in UK to get me this magazine. Thank you for watching this video of aero modeling through the decade. Please subscribe and we'll see you in the next video. Bye. Even this one is long, you know. Same, same line, same line.
Are you going fishing, Mr. Young?
Ah,
Go Taman.